So I'm sitting here watching the weigh-in show, and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a pretty standard weigh-in, okay? I'm just sort of waiting, and I'm listening to the weigh-in show in the background, and I'm waiting until I hear that someone's about to walk up on the scale. Then I'll change tabs, look at the weigh-in show, and see how they look on the scale. Justin Gaethje gets up to the scale, makes weight. Rose Namajunas gets up to the scale, makes weight. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's 2 out of 4 that need to make weight that's important. Because if Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson miss weight by a pound or 2, there's no title on the line. One of them loses a little bit of money. The other one makes a little bit more money. And the fight still happens anyway. And I'm thinking, okay, we've got Carla Esparza. She ends up making weight. And she's made weight before because she used to be a champion, and she's never had any problems making weight. It's not like she's a big straw weight by any means. And then Charles Oliveira is the one we're waiting for. Okay? And Charles Oliveira is a former featherweight. So I'm thinking in my mind, there's no way he's going to miss weight. Okay? And then I'm still waiting. And then Charles Oliveira misses weight by half a pound. Now, when I first saw this, Oliveira looked shocked, okay? But he did get onto the scale immediately without it. He had 2 attempts, right? He got onto the scale, he missed weight. He came back on. He missed weight again by half a pound with no clothes on whatsoever, using the curtain. And I thought to myself, well, he's got an hour. It's half a pound. He can probably do that. He's not really a big lightweight anyway. There's probably been some kind of mishap with the scales backstage. Charles Oliveira thought he weighed a little bit more or a little bit less than he actually did. The scales were a little bit off. He'll go backstage. He'll cut a little bit extra weight over the next hour of time, and he'll make weight again. And then we're still waiting for Charles Oliveira. I thought this was going to take about half an hour. I thought there'd be something that was immediately figured out. They'd get him into a sauna as quick as they possibly could, sweat out a little bit in there, and then just come back to the scales afterwards. Because, again, whilst I'm waiting for Charles Oliveira to make weight again, after he has another hour to make half a pound off of his weight, I'm looking back at his other weigh-ins. Charles Oliveira came in under the championship limit for his fight against Tony Ferguson, and he didn't even have a full camp for that fight. Charles Oliveira did not have a full camp for the Tony Ferguson fight. Bear in mind, he did have quite a few weeks of that camp, but it wasn't like a long championship fight camp that you would usually expect. And he came in, I believe, at 154 point something for that fight. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's going to be absolutely fine. There's no way he's going to miss this weight. This has all been a massive confusion. He's going to come back in and make weight. And then we're still waiting for Charles Oliveira. And we're still waiting for Charles Oliveira. And now the nerves are kicking in. Why are we still waiting for Charles Oliveira? And he comes back. And I'm thinking, oh, he's here. Thank God he's made weight. He wouldn't be back if he didn't make weight. Or didn't at least lose some weight. How much weight has he lost? Let's hope he's not like 0.1 pound over the 155 pound limit for a championship bout. Let's just hope that. He steps back on the scale and he weighs 155.5 pounds. Exactly the same weight again. But this time, he has his hands in the air. He has his hands, sorry, American viewers. He has his hands in the air. His arms way up high. He's actually leaning his arms forward. And I'm confused when I first saw this as to why he hasn't lost any weight, despite an hour of trying to lose some weight. Even walking around the arena for an hour and coming back, despite if your body is not letting you sweat or not, you're going to have some kind of like 0.1 of a pound weight loss, okay? And on the first time when he got on the scales, he had his arms down by his sides and they're hanging on his body. They're supported. They're not bearing down above him. It's like a lesser weight. So I go and get my scale from my bathroom. And I stand on it with my arms hanging low. And I then stand on it with my arms in the same position that Charles Oliveira's were in. And it was a little bit of weight off. I became a little bit heavier when I had my arms up in the air. I'm not joking. I don't know if anyone's tried that before. But it genuinely is a thing. Your balance is a bit off. The way the weight hits the scale is a little bit different as well. And I think I was about 0.7 pounds off. Now, I'm not depleted down to nothingness, I understand, so it's a little bit different. But at the same time, I think that's genuinely what it was. Because how does he go away for an hour, come back looking more depleted, by the way, noticeably more depleted, like he genuinely has cut a little bit more weight out of his body, and still weigh exactly the same on the scale? I'm so annoyed by this. And now he's vacated the belt. Respect. I think he was going to get stripped anyway, so maybe no respect, because just make weight. You form a featherweight fighting at lightweight. You've done it so many times before. I'm worried about my pick of him now, because I'm thinking maybe there's something wrong in the camp. Maybe he's a little bit ill and his body doesn't want to let go of all the water that it should do. But he now can't win the belt this weekend. His title defense streak is done. He can't beat Khabib's title defense streak because it won't be official. Ever. It's going to be really tough now to have that argument. Gaethje can win the belt, which I'm very happy about, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh my god, Gaethje's going to have a meltdown backstage and call off the fight or something. Please just let there be a fight this weekend, because I'm thinking to myself, oh wait, he fights for the glory. He's been looking for this world championship the entire time. He will, quite rightfully so, by the way, although it would be annoying, say, no, we're fighting on another pay-per-view and I'm getting this world championship. But luckily, they vacate the belt. They're both not fighting for a vacant title, but the title is vacant. If Justin Gaethje wins, he gets the belt. If Oliveira wins, he gets the belt. But I genuinely think it's because he had his hands up in the air like that there was no difference in weight when he came back and looked noticeably more depleted. He 100% sweated out a little bit more weight when he went backstage. I don't know what the excuse is from him. We haven't really heard anything from him yet, as far as I know. But I know for a fact he looked a little bit more drained when he came back. Maybe that's just because he looked worse, because he was worried about, oh my god, am I actually going to make it? But like, he looked a little bit more drained out, correct? When he came back for the second time on the scale. And I was thinking to myself, man, I hope this extra half pound doesn't affect his performance tomorrow, because he looks a little bit more drained. But no, he weighs exactly the same, and I think it's his hands in the air, because I've tried it on my own scales. And maybe you guys could try this at home if you have a pair. Your hands up in the air, especially lurching forward like that and hanging forward and creating that sort of disbalance, is going to affect the scale, and I think that's what it was. There's no way he wouldn't lose any weight when he went away for an hour to try and cut weight. There'd be something. He wouldn't have came back otherwise. Why would you come back if you know you weigh exactly the same thing? And I'm just thinking to myself, all the things that could go wrong. It's Oliveira missing weight, and I never thought that would ever happen. Tony Ferguson on short notice. He came in under the weight limit on short notice. This sport is so unprofessional. It's so annoying. The weight cutting is so annoying. Like, it just, this is, people said, oh, this doesn't happen often, no, when I mentioned that this sport's so unprofessional. But, like, this is 2 main events in a row where a guy's missed weight in the main event. That's 2 in a row. I know Oliveira's not going to get fined. He might get fined. I don't think he should be fined, because technically he didn't miss the lightweight limit. So it's not like he's going to have an unfair advantage over Justin Gaethje or anything like that. So I don't think he should be fined for money. I think his fine of being stripped from his world championship is enough, if you ask me. But I'll be honest with you guys, and I've saved it until 8 minutes 30 to mention this. I thought to myself in my head, Ali Abdelaziz, you sly dog. What have you done? What scales have you tampered with to stop Oliveira racking up title defenses if he were to succeed this weekend? What have you done, Ali Abdelaziz, to allow a better chance at Makhachev getting the next title shot regardless of what happens? Because Oliveira's not going to get a rematch now if he loses. And there's going to be an option for 2 people to fight for a belt if he wins. Ali Abdelaziz. And I always look to Ali Abdelaziz when something goes on. And then people are saying stuff like in the comments, oh my god, people have turned on Charles Oliveira on a dime. Let's be real, in some of the comments, like completely unprofessional, the Khabib would never miss weight. Okay, Khabib wouldn't show up to the scales. He would just pull out. But Khabib cheated the scales. And he's allowed to cheat the scales when it's still moving. But for Oliveira, it must be 100% still. No, it has to be 100% still, guys. We're going to have to double check this one. Just put it at 155.5 and it must be 100% still. Okay? Otherwise, there's no weight being made. And Charles Oliveira has failed to make weight. But for Khabib, put it on 155. Let it bounce around all over the place on the scales. And just say 155, everyone. No more looking. No more looking at the scales, everyone. Like, I wish we could just have a little bit of cheating moments more often to save these events. Because now it's an absolute circus this weekend. If Oliveira win, I don't want Oliveira to win now. But I don't want Gaethje to be a champ. He's on a 1-fight win streak. And he lost to Khabib dominantly. It would just make Khabib's shadow reign over the division for longer. And it's horrible. It ruins the anticipation of the sport if that happens. But I don't want Oliveira to win. Because then we don't have a champ at lightweight. And it's just a mess. And he also misses pay-per-view shares now, which must suck. Which is why I don't think he should be fined. Because he's not going to get pay-per-view shares. He's not a defending champion anymore. That's a few million. Jesus, that is a few $1 million mistake to have your hands up like that. And I think that's what it was. I think it's because he had his hands up in the air. I think if he hung his hands down low and cradled them to his waist, he would weigh a little bit less. What a mess. Shave your fucking head. You know what I mean? Like, with champions making weight, yeah, there should almost be infinite chances, like, in a way. Like, okay, right, now shave off this. Okay, let's get rid of the mustache next. You know what I mean? Like, there should be, like, all right, eyelashes? The eyelashes are coming off. We need an extra 0.1 of a pound. You know what I mean? Let's shave those ears. The inner ear canal. What about nostrils? Have we waxed them? Have we waxed them? Any bogeys? Any bogeys? Like, there should be, like, infinite... I just don't... It's just such a fucking stupid mess now. It's a stupid mess. And I don't give a fuck about Rosa Esparza. Chandler Ferguson's cool. I'm looking forward to it. But this is a mess. And sure, it makes the sport fun that there's this craziness now and again. But, like, you don't get this in boxing. You just don't get this. Why is there this to worry about? And then when it happens, I'm now worried about it moving forward. I was not worried. Let's look at the moving up the fucking cards coming up soon onto the next pay-per-view card. What's the next pay-per-view card? Oh my God, can Glover make weight? They're going to be in Singapore. It's going to be a weird time zone. Are they going to make weight? Like, I shouldn't have to worry about that. Is Tyler Santos going to make weight for a championship bout? She's a pretty big flyweight. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things I'm now going to worry about in the next few upcoming pay-per-view cards. And it's so... I'm just so annoyed by this. And I needed to voice my annoyance and my opinions on what's going on. I just don't get how he can go away for an hour, cut weight, definitely, because he looked more drained, and then weigh exactly the same on the scale. That makes zero sense. Even walking away in a direction for half an hour and coming back, toweling yourself off, you're going to weigh a little bit less. That's just logic. Okay? Trim your toenails. You know what I mean? Like, do something. You're going to lose a little bit. Now, fair play if he came back and it was 155.1 pounds for the champion Charles Oliveira. You know what I mean? And then maybe I'd understand, okay, he cut a little bit of weight, but he didn't do it enough. To weigh exactly the same. It's the hands. I tried it on my scale. It's off by a couple of points of a pound. The hands lurching over the top. I don't know what science is behind that. Can someone explain that, please? My hands were down here like Oliveira at first, cradling him in my torso, basically cradling themselves together. Then they were above me. Maybe it's the fact that weight is like pouring down on top of you and they're more comfortable and relaxed when they're hanging down below and it's a more natural position to be in. But you always see the guy on the weigh-in scale tell fighters, hey, put your hands down so I can get a reading. That's a fact. Do you ever see that when a guy flexes on the scales and he's like, hey, put your hands down. It's messing it up. Put your hands down. Don't put your hands up yet. Put it down. But when Oliveira needs to make weight for a championship bout, put your hands up. Get your hands way up in the air. Like every weigh-in that happens. A guy gets on the scale. It's not accurate enough yet. They're flexing their biceps on the scale and he's like, hey, put your hands down. Put your hands down. But whatever. That's messed it all up now. Whole division ruined. And that's that. Fucking sport ruined. Another step at a time. They're making it happen. Any cost they can, they will ruin this sport. I don't know what it is. The MMA gods just want this sport to die. And anything they can do to make that happen will happen. Glover's going to beat Yuri. Glover's going to reign as a top champion for a while at 50. And that's what's going to happen moving forward in this sport. And it's a shame. And Aljo's going to be like a bantamweight GOAT at some point, I imagine. What else could possibly go wrong? Oh, let's have Alejandro Pantoja become a champ at flyweight. That sounds like a plan. See you later. Goodbye. As if Nunes Pena 2 on Tough wasn't enough of a disgrace. See you later, guys. At least we've got Paulo Costa's Twitter. Goodbye.